And welcome to a December 12th edition of the NBA Injury Report and Analysis Show. My name is Michael Lockie. I'm joined with Michael Gallagher. Mike, how you doing today?
Doing great. Really enjoyed the Emirates NBA Cup yesterday. It was a very entertaining night. Wild stuff with the Houston win. Sam Jefferini and I actually just recorded a podcast that'll be on the YouTube feed pretty soon. The thumbnail is hilarious. Shout out to producer Ryan when you see it. I won't give it away, but yeah, really.
I did.
Really
Please
fun
go
stuff.
check that out. It was incredible.
Yeah, it's so good. So yeah, we got a little 3-gamer today, and then we actually have a normal slate tomorrow. That is pretty fun. A lot of these teams are off. That's kind of interesting too. And kind of just a random note, we saw the Raptors kind of got screwed here, right? Like they just played on Monday, and then they're already playing on Thursday, while a lot of the teams playing tomorrow like have been off since like Saturday. So the Raptors really got the short end of the stick. And just another random note, like the Cavs, who play tomorrow, they were in Miami over the weekend. They just stayed in Miami for like a mini like team like vacation together. So yeah, we'll talk more of the Raptors. Obviously, they got really snake bit by the injury to Scotty Barnes. So yeah, we'll talk through all that, and yeah, we'll talk a little bit about how the rest could impact possible rotations. That'll be more of a topic tomorrow. We've got some bad teams playing tomorrow. That's one thing just to highlight. Like these teams have gone through multiple practices. I think the Pacers had 3 practices. A lot of teams had like 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 practices because they've been off for a week. So you could see some stuff that we're not expected to see. Thinking I'll talk more about that later, the ways to could cash in on here. And then again, the Raptors with Scotty Barnes injury, definitely something to watch.
Yeah, you brought up a great point about the availability for practice. And a lot of times during the season, they don't get as many as an outsider. You think they're practicing all the time, but in reality, they're traveling more than they're actually practicing in a lot of those examples. So it's a great call out there. I also wanted to point out the Cavs staying in Miami. It's very wise to catch the Miami flu and then recover from it in an appropriate amount of time. So shout out to them for getting ahead of what is hopefully a championship run with that team. So
yeah, who wants to go back to Cleveland in December? Not me. No offense to any Clevelanders out there. Shout out to the Cavs though.
One of my funny things is I moved to Miami right before LeBron did, and I moved away right before he did too. So I was in Miami for a lot of that LeBron time. It was kind of neat. So.
Nice.
For all the people listening, though, make sure you like and subscribe while I got you here. Everything that goes on here is free on this channel, and we need you to support us. So please do that. While I got you, let's move on to game number 1 here. The Pistons and Boston. This is going to be an exciting one. Lots to talk about more on the Boston side, but let's start with the Pistons here. Asar Thompson's back, and Wendell Moore Jr. also back with the team. How is that going to affect rotations, and are they going to get weaned in here a little bit? What can we expect with the rotation?
Yeah, the Asar thing is interesting, right? We saw him miss the beginning of the season for the blood clot thing. He had to get cleared by not only his team, but also cleared by the league, the NBPA. So yeah, he gets limited. Oops, I got the wrong box up again. There we go. So yeah, we're getting him back with a limit. They were running him with like a 3 to 5 minute stint to keep him in check prior to this injury. So Asar should be back, should be off the bench, and should be playing, probably 15-ish minutes with the recent sustained injury there. That'll pretty much lock that Marcus Sasser is still out of the rotation, and it will cut into Simone Fontecchio, Ron Holland a little bit. I don't think it'll affect Malik Beasley, who, interestingly, JB Bickerstaff called his, quote, 6th starter. So we talked about this with Houston, right? These teams like their 6th man, and they want to keep him in that role. I speculated, called about 2 weeks ago, that it felt like Malik Beasley would eventually come for Tim Hardaway Jr., but I think they kind of like him to break up the offensive creation with their first unit there. So, yeah, other than that, expecting a really strong limit. Should note, too, we saw Tobias minutes come down a little bit. Obviously, there's a big spread here that's down to 11. We'll talk about Boston in a second. But, yeah, these guys are rested. Could see Tobias Harris, who was nursing a hip injury earlier this month. Maybe he gets back into the mid 33, 34, 35 range that he was playing earlier this year. Again, spread, but should note this rest probably helped Tobias, who was playing through some stuff. And also Cade. Cade had that iliac sacral issue that limited him, cost him a back-to-back game. He could be playing pretty full minutes and has been playing great. Had the triple-double, absolutely crushing. Cade has been to start the season.
Yeah, actually, the Asar Thompson return. I'm going through the game logs here. Number one, when the holidays come around, it's easy to get detached slightly from NBA. I knew he had all the blood clot issues and stuff, so I didn't even know he got back in the rotations. But really glad to see that. Big bull there. Really, really glad to see what that team's going to look like as they mature. Over on the Boston side, we did get the Tatum news and the Hauser news. Jaden Springer's also out. Jordan Walsh upgraded to available. Anything else you want to touch on here? There's probably a lot going on. Where do you want to start?
Yeah, let's start with Tatum. This is that knee thing that's kind of kept him out here and there. Not like a serious thing, but Jason Tatum missing games is always, unusual, right? Like Tatum is one of the most durable players in the NBA, but him missing this game in a non-back-to-back is a little bit noteworthy. The matchup is interesting. They are big favorites. You could probably speculate that had they been playing Cleveland or Milwaukee or somebody like that he'd probably suit up. But getting ruled out early is a little unusual for Boston. So I've got like a teeny bit of concern on this. They just played a back-to-back. And again, they've been off since Saturday. So, pretty odd to rule them out here. Maybe this is just, hey, get them off for a week and then we got them right before we start playing again, all that good stuff there. So they are getting Al Horford back. Al Horford missed the last game, and they are losing Sam Hauser, who hurt himself in the last game, and they went pretty big. They played a decent bit on Mias Keita because they didn't have Horford, and they lost Hauser early in this game. So their starting lineup without Tatum, I would feel pretty confident it's going to be Derek White, Drew Holiday, who I'll talk about in a second, Jaylen Brown, Al Horford, and Kristaps Porzingis. We saw Porzingis get back up to pretty full. He's playing lowish, midish 30s, played 33 in the last game. So that'll be the starting group. And then obviously Peyton Pritchard will be a big, big piece off the bench. As I noted, he cut into Drew Holiday yet again. And if you watch this game, the Grizzlies left him open, man. 17 3-point attempts. He made just 4 of them. And Joe Mazzola said that the strategy for that was to just keep shooting them. We know Boston will let – and Drew's been a great shooter, so it was a pretty bold strategy that paid off. Shout out to Taylor Jenkins. We'll talk about them a little bit tomorrow. I've got some fun matchup notes that I've written up this morning. That'll be their core guys. We know Neemias Queta and Luke Cornett will probably cover the 48 behind Porzingis. Expect Horford to pick up most of those minutes, if not all of his minutes at the 4. They are going to have Jordan Walsh is available, so they'll have those guys. So they've kind of only got 10, Xavier Tillman as well. So they've got that like group of 10 guys, but it's also worth noting it's very important for Peyton Pritchard that they upgraded Drew Peterson and J.D. Davidson, who played last night in Long Island for the G League team. Yes, we're at the G League tracker portion of the program. And they don't play again until Sunday. So trip to Long Island to Boston, pretty quick turnaround. Those guys with that upgrade now, given the way they've only got 10 available, they should have 12. So as I noted, Pritchard would have, if those guys weren't playing, say they are out, Pritchard's probably playing garbage because that 5-some isn't playing garbage, and then he's going to get it against Detroit. And I would be remiss to say, go back to that Jaylen Brown quote where he said, hey, those games against Detroit, we're going to get Peyton Pritchard score 30. So certainly a Pritchard game. He's only scored 19 in each of the first 2 games against the Pistons. So he would need 52 points today to get to 30-point average against Detroit. So keep an eye. If you are looking at Pritchard stuff, keep an eye on those Q tags. If they do turn to out tags, Pritchard would probably be one of the biggest smashes of the day.
Yeah, definitely something to keep an eye on in all formats. I was going to bring up that quote if you didn't. It's so hard not to go back to something that's it's so direct also. I mean, I get that maybe the Pistons have played slightly better than what the implications were, but they're still the Pistons. And again, also tying it in with the Tatum situation, you say quick rule out adds concern. Fair, super fair point. It's also quick rule out. They kind of know what they're doing. Maybe they're just moving on. There's a lot of ways to spin it, and that's what makes this situation so hard. You got to parse through a lot of incomplete information.
Yep, for sure.
Good stuff. All right, so on to the Toronto and Miami game. You brought up this Scotty Barnes injury to start the show off. You hate to see it. He's going to be out for a little while with an ankle sprain. Bruce Brown is out for waiting to get traded, I assume. And Emmanuel Quickly is still out with that elbow situation. What are we doing with Toronto's rotation today?
Yeah, this is a biggest injury news on Monday. I guess if you say this week, if you count Monday. That's a really big loss. And, if you don't follow the NBA closely and you see Scotty Barnes, you may think of him as a 4. He's not a 4 right now. He's been playing their lead handler right now. So you're taking away the defensive role he has as a 4, but the offensive role he has as a point guard. So it's pretty impossible to replace that with one player. So that really raises the question of the first question is, who do you want to replace him with offensively? The first guy who's going to replace him offensively from a handling perspective, to me, is RJ Barrett. Like, there's a chance RJ Barrett starts at the quote unquote point guard offensively. And we saw last year, those games Scottie Barnes missed, RJ had massive drives, massive potential assists relative to where he's been over the course of his career. So RJ's role is going to be huge. We know Pirtle's going to start. We know Ochai Agbaji's going to start. And we know Grady Dick, who handled a little bit more. He'll handle a little bit, is going to start. So who's the 5th starter? There are 3 candidates to me. The first one, and the chalky one, I think is Davion Mitchell. We saw Davion was kind of starting when Scottie, when they had, Miss Grady, and they had him in there. So I think he's the favorite. And then I think the next favorite would be Jacoby Walter, who's getting a lot of buzz, had that big game on Monday, scored 19 points. A lot of comments from Darko saying they want him to get up shots and get them open. Their offense is kind of predicated on that, getting paint points and getting some perimeter shooting to complement that. So, and then add to the fact that, he's a rookie. They're not tied to Davion Mitchell. Davion Mitchell, I believe, is in a contract year. So if you're thinking long-term, and Scottie Barnes is out, and Emmanuel Quickley, we got to update on him. He's still out for a little bit. He's not cleared yet. Why not just play Jacoby Walter and as your, best really young player who's not due for money yet, just play him and see what he's got. They want to see what this kid can grow into. And if he could be a, pretty good volume scorer, he got him up at Baylor. So I kind of think Jacoby Walter could start, who would be a deep league pickup if you're into that sort of thing. But then the third candidate to me would be Jonathan Mobo, who is now that Kelly Olynyk's back, your minutes at the 5 are covered. So if you wanted to find minutes for Mobo, who's earned them, in my opinion, just start him, point RJ, Grady Dick secondary, Ochai, and Mobo on the ends. Gives you some size. They like to rebound, all that stuff. So, yeah, that's kind of the priority for who starts. Does this bring Chris Boucher back to life? Chris Boucher had been out of the rotation earlier. He could be back in the mix. Where does Jamal Shed go? Does Jamal Shed sneak in the rotation? I kind of think he does, just because you need another body in there. But again, RJ is going to probably smash now. RJ's has such a high ceiling. Could be more usage to Pirtle. Could be more usage and roll to Dick as well. So, yeah. And again, Davion could start, but I don't think his role is going to grow that much. And as I said, if I wanted to make a pickup from the situation, assuming your league's not super shallow, I would pick up Jacoby Walter.
Tons of great points there. And it's always difficult with these teams that are, they want to kind of see what they have in certain players, but you don't necessarily know how much they want to see it, right? So is there anything with the matchup with Miami that leans you in a direction with that starter?
No, I think that Scotty's going to be out a really long time. IQ, it was worse than I thought. So they've got 2 weeks minimum, maybe 3, just get some continuity in your lineup. I don't think they want to play the matchup game. And should note, Jacoby was starting a little bit earlier in a couple iterations ago injury wise. So yeah, that's kind of just from a long-term view. And you're already 7-18, you're already going down that path now. So I don't know. And I think that they want his shooting to be a bigger part of the offense. They need a little more creation, right? There's not a lot of creation. Right. Grady Dick, again, getting better. That'll grow. But I think that they want to kind of get more offense. He's a pretty bad defender from what the college bros say, but I thought he's got, quick feet. I think he can move pretty well, potentially be a good defender. I thought he was a good defender in summer league. So yeah, kind of just interested to see, very curious to see who starts. Again, chalk answers Davion, but I think Jacoby could start and just run away with this thing.
Love to hear it. Great analysis there. Let's move over to the Miami side here. The probable tag on Jimmy Butler is something that stood out to me immediately. Josh Richardson's going to be out. Drew Smith in. Anything you want to discuss immediately about the Miami rotation?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure anybody who's monitoring or watching NBA or on your Twitter feed is getting all this stuff from the Jimmy Butler trade speculation, from the color of his hair to his agent getting on Twitter, quote tweeting Shams about him not saying that, to the ESPN. They're doing the NBA Cup coverage and they're talking about Jimmy Butler. This is a really fascinating game that's about to go on your air. How about spending your whole pregame show on talking about that game? But I digress. So for now,
they leaked it at that time for a very specific reason, right? Exactly. All of this is intentional.
Exactly. So yeah, he's good to go. Played the back to back of this game, so he's fine. They're playing great. Tyler Hero just won Eastern Conference Player of the Week. We talked about how I said this to start the show. Teams with time off could adjust their lineup. I don't think they're going to. I feel pretty good. They're going to stick with this group and kind of keep Terry Rozier as their sixth man, or is he even their sixth man? Is the next question, because Drew Smith is playing a ton, so that's kind of their core seven. Jaime Jaquez is getting pushed down. It's kind of nuts that Drew Smith, coming off that ACL tear when he kind of slipped off the court last year at Cleveland. So he's kind of firmly in there. That's kind of their core eight. Kevin Love should be, I think, ahead of Thomas Bryant to be their nine, and then we'll see if Jovic, who's pretty much out of the rotation now, could sneak in there. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at. And then Haywood Highsmith, they're pretty locked in. So we've got a pretty firm 9-man group for now. Famous last words. We know Eric Spoelstra. Give him time off. He could throw some curveballs at us for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, as I was doing some underdog drafts earlier before we started, the Drew Smith projection / that one combined ceiling and normal projection a little bit. So he was popping in a way that really stood out. And I was really interested to see what you had to say there. So I agree and like that.
Nice.
All right. Let's move on to game 3 of this 3-game slate here. On the Kings side, it looked pretty clean from my 130 injury report. These few of these guys don't feel like mentioning here. Anybody you want to talk about in specific? Any continuity notes? What's going on with the Kings?
Yeah, we had Mike Brown talk about some stuff at practice that was interesting to me. He straight up said that his starters are going to play between 35 and 36 minutes per game. And then Kevin Huerter will play, quote, hopefully around 24 minutes there. So we know they're top 5. We know Mike Brown is West Coast Tibbs, and these guys are going to play a ton of minutes there. And they're all really, really durable. So yeah, there is nothing sure. Isaac Jones been a great story. Yeah. Who's also, returning. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. I think, Jones and Keon are kind of their favorites for their 6th and 7th man. I'm sorry, 7th and 8th man. But who cares? You've got that many minutes in your first unit. There's just nothing to go around. So it was encouraging from a Kevin Huerter standpoint to hear that he's pretty firmly their 6th man. But again, they're who cares? You're the 6th man when there's no minutes available because those top 5 guys play so much. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. Weird note. He said they really worked on their post defense a lot, which was it got me looking at the schedule. I was okay, interesting to do that when it's not a really big piece of the pie offensively. That was just a really strange quote from Mike Brown. The guy's quite fascinating. He's had some really good quotes over the years. Shout out to bringing out the laptop and pointing out stuff. But we know we're going to get pretty much a very, very stable from 1 through 6. And then, who cares about 7, 8, 9.
Yep. Sounds great there. So since it's a 3-gamer, I'm going to ask a question that might be off the rails a little bit. You can keep it short if you'd like, but I think it's a really good overall question for this type of show. When you talk about someone like Sabonis being injury, they don't he's played a lot of games. He's durable. Durable is the word that really I was thinking here. I struggle projecting durability. Obviously on a day-to-day basis, it's easy, but how predictable is durability on a season basis? It seems complicated.
Yeah, we do this. We do our season-long projections. Sam Jefferini, Dink, and I, we spend a lot of time looking at, how durable guys are and how consistent they are and why they were not durable. Was it, getting hurt all the time, missing games in pockets? Was it catastrophic injuries, one of them and then nothing else? So Sabonis, year after year after year, he is top 3 or 4 or 5 in minutes. I think he was number 1 2 years ago, number 2 in total minutes last year behind his teammate DeMar DeRozan, who led the league in minutes last year. So yeah, and then how old are they? This is kind of stuff we all put into our best ball rankings, which are going great. Our NBA best ball is doing well so far.
I can confirm.
So yeah, good luck to everyone in the NFL streets. I think I got about a 20% advance rate, so I'm pretty happy. Got some, I think I got 28% on BBM. So yeah, shout out to the best ball bros out there. If you're in my pod, but good luck to everyone. Unless you're in my pod, then I hope you have the worst luck of all.
Indeed, nothing wrong with that. Good luck to everyone. All right, other half of this game. Let's get over here. This other half is as ugly as this game was mostly clean here. So the Pelicans have been injury riddled all season long. Same situation today. Zion out, Ingram out, Alvarado out, JRE out, Jordan Hawkins out, Javonte Green out. I'm going to leave a couple G Leaguers off. What do we have left for the Pelicans today?
Not a lot. So we know their starting lineup is going to be pretty secure and pretty full. We got like 35 minutes and a half on Trey Murphy, DeJounte, and Herb Jones. Herb played 38 minutes, just played 3 games ago, and he plays 38 minutes in a back-to-back. Partly because look at this team. Like DeJounte is not a great defender anymore, or their wing defenders are all hurt. Javonte Green hurt his ankle a couple of games ago, didn't practice. Jordan Hawkins still not doing any contact. Zion Williamson not close either. Brandon Ingram. The quotes from Willie Green saying that like it wasn't season ending and it wasn't career threatening. Like the guy had an ankle sprain, and we're like the fact that season ending even came out of your mouth is like, dude, is he like done with the Pelicans? There's this whole contract dispute. BI changed his agent as an aside. So BI's out for a really long time. Like I would say like half joking, like trade deadline. I think he's going to miss like a month. So again, that's going to leave really big roles for DeJounte, who's going to have a massive handling role. Trey will get all the shots he wants. CJ is going to be bombing away from threes. Should know Willie Green said that their goal is now to get 40 threes every night. So depending on matchup, which is a great one. This is a great A+ matchup for shooters. The Kings give up some of the most catch and shoot threes in the NBA. So could see a lot of Trey, could see a lot of CJ. And again, DeJounte, I could see a pretty big role out of him. Herb will get him up too. And then Misi's playing a lot more. So those starters are really stable. As you mentioned, no JRE, no Javonte Green. They're going to have, Brandon Boston be their 6th man. Daniel Tice did go through full practice. He's going to be back to kind of cover the center minutes with him and Trey Jemison. It would expect to be mostly Tice playing behind Yves Misi there. And then, we think that Antonio Reeves will be kind of in there as him and Jamal Cain, who you need this role. Like you've got shot creation out of DeJounte and CJ and Brandon Boston, and Trey can create and score in transition. Like you need another defender to go there to cover up with Herb. So I kind of think that Jamal Cain could be in ahead of Antonio Reeves. But the headline here for most of you people are like, you could be getting a really, really big role out of really all of their starters.
Yeah, it looks like a very locked in. It looks like we're doing April basketball right now is what it feels like. And it's like, what are we going to do? It's this is how they're going to run the rotation. Then it's looking back at, projecting this team in the offseason, it's so strange to see what a team looks like that's so different than what you expected it would look like. That's how it rolls sometimes. Yeah,
shout out to Sam Jeffranian. We did our win totals pod, and he put the Pelicans on there. That's gonna cash in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
it's like, I'm kidding about the 2 weeks, but that is just absolute smash. Sam just killed our win totals pod. He had the Rockets over, and something else he had was a smash. So shout out Sam.
I may or may not have tailed that episode. Shout out to you guys.
Yeah.
All right. So speaking of shout out to you guys, make sure you sign up for the premium packages at establishtheRun.com/NBA. There is the props package, which make sure you do your research on that. The picks come out very quickly, and you need to be readily available and ready to fire. If you are interested in that, they're only weekly availables, but there's season-long packages, all sorts of great stuff. Make sure you check it out. Mike, did I miss anything there?
No, that's pretty much it. Yeah, just make sure you read that FAQ. We're running hot. We had a little dip to start December, but these smaller slates, we're kind of grinding little edges here and there. So we're hoping to hit the 70 unit mark here, doing quite well overall. December was our bad month last year, so we're looking at January was our bugaboo previously, but we want to kick butt in December. Definitely crushing on the props package. These I think our projections have been pretty dialed in. Got Mark Dankenbring back in the mix. Always love having Dank back. So really excited. I'll take us out of here. So if you guys want to, again, make sure you guys like and subscribe. And great stuff, Mike. We'll catch you guys next time.